Okay, I am going to call the meeting of the Village of Holly Planning Commission for March 27th, 2024 to order. Let's stand for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And roll call, please.
Campbell?
Here.
Christian? Lacey?
Here.
Koskela?
Here.
DeSessa?
Here.
Wallace?
Present.
Everly?
Here.
Kinnaman?
Here.
Okonski?
Okay, I'd like to have a motion to excuse Okonski and Christian.
So moved.
I second.
I think we can just do a voice call. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? And as we look at the agenda, I've had a recommendation that we change an order of one item to allow our presenter to be able to have all of their stuff together, and then we'll move on to other business. And so we are going to move item A up. It'll be kind of 7A. Sort of, if you look at it that way, new business. And then we'll go through the regular order for the meeting. So a motion to,
I will make a motion to accept those changes to our agenda.
okay, accept the agenda as amended.
As amended.
Very good.
I'll second.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Campbell?
Yes.
Kinnaman?
Yes.
Lacey?
Yes.
Wallace?
Yes.
DeSessa?
Yes.
Koskela?
Yes.
Everly?
Yes.
Very good. Minutes, approval of the minutes. Anything in the minutes? Motion to approve.
I will also make the motion to approve the minutes of October 25th, 2023 as presented. I'll second.
Motion and second to approve the minutes as written. Let's do a roll call.
Wallace?
Yes.
Lacey?
Yes.
Kinnaman?
Yes.
Campbell?
Yes.
Koskela?
Yes.
Everly?
Yes.
DeSessa?
Yes.
Motion carries. Statement of purpose. Do I have a volunteer to read our statement of purpose?
I'll read it.
Thank you.
The mission of the Holly Village government is to enhance our community's quality of life. Our organization strives for quality services, responsive action to citizen requests, and a cost-effective government. We promote citizen participation, proactive decision-making, and environmental quality. Most importantly, we shall always serve the citizens of Holly. The Village of Holly will be a prestigious historical village that is a green residential oasis from the city and the center of commerce and activity for the region.
Very good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Public comment. Members of the public can address the commission once recognized by the chairperson. Comments are limited to a maximum of 4 minutes. Commission may extend this time by up to an additional 4 minutes by a majority vote. For items on the agenda, comments may be made after commission discussion prior to commission vote. Prior to addressing the commission, members of the public shall state their name and address for the record. Anyone for public comment? Don't all rush at once. Seeing none, we will move on to public hearing. I need a motion to open public hearing.
I will so move.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
DeSessa?
Yes.
Lacey?
Yes.
Campbell?
Yes.
Koskela?
Yes.
Wallace?
Yes.
Everly?
Yes.
Kinnaman?
Yes. public hearing is open on the consideration of the site plan for the property located at 107 Oakwood, ID IH0127351-005. Anyone from the public wishing to make comment? We will make a motion to close public hearing.
I will make the motion to close the public hearing, 2024-001, consideration for a site plan review for the property located at 107 Oakwood, ID number IH0127351-005.
I'll second.
Who seconded, I'm sorry?
I did.
Roll call, please.
Lacy?
Yes.
Campbell?
Yes.
H0lly?
Yes.
Wallace?
Yes.
DeSessa?
Yes.
Kinnaman?
Yes.
Castellano?
Yes.
Motion carries. Let's move to new business item 2024-001, consideration for the site plan review of the property located at 107 Oakwood, ID IH0127351-005. Either one of you want to?
Guys, it's good to see everyone again. It's been a while. I was afraid you guys were going to invite me back, but it looks like the village has been pretty busy with a lot of activities, so congratulations on all the efforts of everyone involved. I wish I could stand here and give you an exhaustive speech like you do on some varied site plans, but this one's pretty straightforward. You guys have an application for condo development, 4 units. In neighborhood commercial, so it's a development by right, and essentially it's an outstanding site plan that pretty much fits every criteria, except for one thing that I think that you guys could potentially approve based on a condition that they could work with staff into developing the condominium bylaws. So I don't know if you guys have any questions for me. That's kind of all it is for me to report back regarding a slight deficiency in the site plan and application by the applicant at 107 Oakwood.
I did have a question.
Yep.
Regarding the parking, there's going to be 12 spaces, and on the one piece on page 5 it says it's not applicable, but then when I jumped over here, I couldn't find any reference to anything about parking.
No, it's a great question. So it's a residential development, so
Right.
he's providing 2 parkings per unit, so he's meeting the standard. And that's the thing, is our checklist. He put that in as not applicable, it's really not applicable. I just marked it as not applicable on our checklist review, so.
Okay. And then another question I had was regarding the back, and I'm not sure if that's a question I'm supposed to ask, but the back of the units, do they just spill out into a grassy area, or is there going to be concrete or a dock or something like that? Because I didn't see anything in the plans.
It looks to me, let me go to the site plan. Good question, though. You're allowed to ask all the questions. That's what the plan commission's asked to do. So,
Yeah, but you see what I mean? It's just like the backyard just spills out to grass, and that's not usually what you'd see.
Yeah.
Even in his revised one with all of the shrubbery and stuff.
right. Well, from a site plan perspective,
I'm not supposed to care.
well, no, I think, I think when he works with the building department, if there's anything there that needs to be worked on, I'm confident that would get worked on in the site. So from, you're right, maybe you want to ask the applicant that.
Mr. Applicant? Is there going to be a landing or a deck or?
We'll give him a,
Before we do that,
okay.
we'll give him an opportunity to come up and speak in a moment.
Okay,
We'll stick with the one speaker.
then I have still another question
Okay,
up in
yeah,
that page.
that's good.
When I was looking at this, I thought, oh great, you're going to keep the chain link fence, And if I was a dog owner, and I'm not, but if I was, that would be a real positive to me. But there's no linkage of the fence to the building, and I didn't know if you had plans for make a, one of those electric underground fences, or is that not part of the plan, or just my thought.
Well, the zoning ordinance doesn't require fencing in the front yard there for this development, so given that there's fencing on three of the four sides, there's quite a bit of, I guess, containment of dogs, if you will.
Well, and then the last thing is just, you mentioned in your letter, Alex, that he lives in the village of Holly, but his application is from Howell.
Oh, I missed that. He might want to live in the village.
I was gonna say,
He seems to be fond of the village.
you made it a point to make it a note, but I
Okay.
don't think unless it,
He does a considerable amount of work in the
Yeah.
village.
Yeah,
okay.
very good, all right.
Isn't it nice to know that people read your stuff?
Yeah, it is good. Sometimes I need to read it again, don't I?
So any other questions for Alex? Go ahead.
Thank you. So I think one of the items was the exterior lighting. If this is a multifamily home, wouldn't it require a lighting plan per our ordinance?
No, I don't believe for residential it applies. That'd be for commercial, so we can,
So I'm confident it does, though. I looked it up. Yeah, I looked it up. I can confirm again, but
so.
is that correct? Yeah.
You want, let's see, the lighting plan here, residential, so I should have brought my copy of the zoning ordinance.
So it's at 157.043, and I can pull it up.
Yeah, 4.3, sure that is the proposed lighting plan. I'll be happy to look over it real quick, because when I initially reviewed it. You guys have a copy of that?
I'll be able to pull it up.
Sure.
My battery is toast, so you can look at it, but I can't move it. And the other item while we're here, so the applicant asked to rezone the property. So now we have a situation where different pieces of property butt each other that are all different zoning. So as I was washing my car at the manual car wash over there, I looked at the North Holly Road that was just rezoned, and that's a residential property. Do we have any flexibility on requiring screening to go up there on the north side of the property that we're reviewing for the site plan? So I think there is something in the ordinance that says we can do it. I'm not sure if we're allowed to do it because it's not a commercial property anymore, or if it has to be a commercial property, or how that plays into it. So my concern is, I went over to the property, and on the north side of the fence, where there's those little garages, my concern would be is those start getting a lot more use. And once those get a lot more use, and someone is backing their car in, now their headlights are shining directly into the new unit's house. And I don't believe the screening perimeters or the screening requirements are met by the black fabric. So it has to be some type of solid structure. So is that something that we would deem important?
So generally your screening is between uses, but it's the higher intense use screening away from the lesser intense use. So we have a commercial use in the rear, and this is a residential use. So we rezoned it because the future land use allowed it to be neighborhood commercial. In neighborhood commercial, you're allowed to have residential uses just like this one. So development by right. And if I recall, just off the top of my head, of all the communities I work with, and there are dozens, the lighting requirement is that for commercial industrial uses. There isn't lighting requirements that are for residential uses.
No, I'm not so much talking about there was
Yeah.
2 points there. There was one point for the lighting, which I'll pull up here,
Right.
and the other
So-
point was for an actual screening, a barrier between the uses.
Right, so that wouldn't be incumbent on the residential user. It would be in the event that commercial use comes back before you for a site plan review, that commercial use in the rear of the building, in the north end of it, if I recall, is gonna be required to provide screening away from residential use. So
Okay.
it's flipped the other way though.
Okay, so you can't go backwards though, you can't, we're not allowed to. Okay. Thank you.
That's a good question.
And then I will find that.
I guess I have one other question. Sidewalk. But I'm not seeing sidewalk in here, I'm seeing curb cut.
That applies to commercial industrial uses. This is not a commercial use, it's a residential use.
Oh. Ow.
There's no other sidewalks in there either.
I don't think there are.
No.
Okay.
Bear with me.
No, we won't
Hmm.
do it.
Full recess.
Come on, Google, you can do it.
I'm not seeing it.
While he's looking that up, anyone else have questions?
I do not. Pretty sure what's
Statements?
in these plans looks better than
Thoughts?
what's there now.
What about, is this the same as a commercial building where fire alarms in there have to be linked up sort of thing, or no?
No.
Okay.
It's the discretion of the builder. He has chosen to provide some extra spaces in between to use as a fire break. That will go from foundation to the bottom of the roof.
So shall I read it, or would you rather have the consultant read it?
Is it really long?
No. So an outdoor lighting plan shall be submitted in conjunction with applications for subdivision, planned unit development, special use applications, site plan review, commercial, industrial, or multifamily building. Such lighting plan shall be subject to establishment and approval through the applicable review processes.
So it's residential, multifamily, I believe is 5 units and up. I apologize, I don't have it in front of me, but it's for industrial commercial. So I typically haven't in the village here or other communities seen lighting plans other than what you typically have on any residential use, any residential
Okay.
districts for residential. So that's where I see it as it
Okay.
falls into the, cause it would just be a building mount, you wouldn't have a light pole or.
That's what I thought too, is like,
It's just, yeah.
I wasn't sure if it changed because it now became a condominium.
Yeah, I know.
And I think we're going to have a conversation about that whole thing, because what makes it a condominium?
Choice of the applicant.
Yeah, I think it's just,
And from what I've heard, that's not the plan.
no, that's the thing is, that's where the plan commission can make some discretion in this. Your zoning ordinance could do some finer touching up. I could say that, seeing, look at them all day long in communities all over the state. And, traditionally 4 units and under is a single family home. That's what the banks
Right.
recognize and everyone else in the industry sees
Right.
it. Why you guys are requiring the condos? I can see an association, but the word condo, but it's not a site plan condo, so it's still single family homes that are attached in the district that you guys allow that in, so.
Which is why we zoned it
Right.
when we changed the zoning, why we zoned it NOC, because it was still not classified multi-residence. It was still classified single residence with 4 units.
Right.
The 5 units would change that to a multifamily, and then we hit a different scenario. So,
And then you have, commercial purpose and lighting and things like that that you see, so.
okay. Good questions. If nothing else, we can maybe hear from the applicant.
Yep, I left you guys some holiday cookies. They're on my desk. There's enough salt in there, and I'm sure they're preserved in sugar, so I'll tell Jeff to
That's right.
Thanks, Alex.
don't let Jeremy eat them all.
I don't need to. Steve.
Welcome.
I'm Bill By, William, on the paper, Bill.
Your
How's
address,
everyone
please.
tonight?
Mr. By, your address, please.
Where I live?
Whatever one you would like to use.
You can use them.
107 Oakwood, here in Holly.
Okay.
I'll answer a few of the questions. I did forget to put the patios on there, the 10 by 10 concrete patios. I have no plan to link the fence to the building. And actually, front yard fence, it would be 36 inches maximum, I believe, by ordinance. There are no sidewalks over in that area. Lighting plans, since we were talking about, I use LED downlighting, and I believe it's 40 watt equivalent on the exteriors. So I come before you to seek approval of the site plan for a 4-unit condominium, single family attached. I believe you all have copies of the plans, and I'm here to answer any questions.
Any other questions for Mr. By?
Thank you. Did I read correctly that in the drawing, the fences are going to be cut?
They have to be, yeah, the fences, by ordinance, I have two options. The, the front building line, if I build to that, that's where the fence would have to be brought back to. Or if I built in back of that, it'd have to be even bring it back further. But I've pretty much filled up the envelope.
So my question is have you talked to the neighbors? Because, especially the one on the corner, for instance, if you cut his fence.
No, that's his fence.
Oh, that's his fence on the corner?
That's his fence.
Okay. So the only one that will be cut will be the east one?
That's correct.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Yeah, the east. And I'll obviously remove the front one.
Yeah, awesome.
Well, my plan is keep it nice and clean and crisp. I'm going to do white, gray, light gray, white, gray. So when you look at the building, it'll be white, gray, white, and gray. I drove through there. The majority of the homes have shutters, so I'm going to put on some nice shutters on. And basically, the exterior of the home, I want to have as low or no maintenance as possible. So all the trim boards will be that. It's a little bit more expensive, but it'll be the Aztec, you know, they're basically PVC. So you never have to paint them. They never need to. There's not going to be really any painting needed on this at all. So they'll all be pre-finished. I'm going with very high quality materials. The roof is a 35-year roof. The siding is produced by manufacturers that offer a 50-year no fade. Just all really good quality stuff. And I use it in the homes that I'm building over on Partridge.
Have you built 4-unit type things before?
I have.
And so, you know, when you bring up the 35-year life on the roof, how do you get that replaced by everyone when you've not done a condo or a
There's a reserve
association?
fund. There's a reserve fund. So in the association budget, there's actually life of materials in there. So part of that monthly fee that you pay is actually a reserve fund for stuff like the roof and other stuff that may need to be taken care of, but mainly for the roof.
Okay. So I think that brings up the differentiation between doing an association and condo and how that gets talked about differently. How are those two things different?
So the association is a nonprofit LLC.
Okay, and I'm wondering if that isn't what this talks about needing to have a copy of.
Master deed bylaws.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Yeah.
I spoke with Alex, actually communicated via email with Alex, that I have those all roughed out. I just wanted to get site plan approval. I wanted to
Uh-huh.
get everyone's buy-in on this before I went ahead and spent the extra,
Sure,
you know,
sure.
monies to complete that for the
Sure.
project.
So would that be something that we would put into a contingency
Yeah.
approval?
Yeah,
Okay,
that's pretty normal.
yeah, okay. That helps with understanding the wording that we need to put in there.
And Mr. Chairman, Chair, if you remember correctly, the condo association right down the road, Oakwood Condos, did the exact same thing, which was approved by this board previously.
Sure. And so we put that in there as a contingency at that point too. Okay,
And not just that it's provided, that you actually work with them and approve it.
Yeah, so it will cost a tremendous amount of money to have that drafted up by an attorney.
But
Bill, Mr. By, Alex and I have all sat together and talked about it. In previous discussions through planning commission, not every member was here on those boards, but in the past, it was recognized that that could be a contingency upon approval to provide those documents prior to certificate of occupancy.
one last question, do our ordinances touch on that sort of thing at all?
It talks about the condo
Talks about it, I
language.
mean, all the,
It's great.
I mean, those are things that, I guess for lack of a better term, is something that people who are gonna buy or live there are gonna wanna know what they are and, you know, establish, and that's a pretty standard procedure or language you use for all of them. I used to do this too, so it's like, it's not revolutionary, it's pretty standard language that attorneys draft up, and when you go sell it and title companies look at it, it's all kind of the same, so. Usually it wouldn't be really all that detailed in the zoning ordinance anyhow. I've never seen it, we don't recommend that, I mean, that's, you know, having one in place and agreement, and, you know, it's just, is there something there, right?
and we have no other contingencies that we are needing to address. Okay,
Yeah, the condo docs are really boilerplate. They all have to follow the Michigan Condo Public Act. The only differences in there may be different features of the lands, or if you've got ponds or roadways or sidewalks, you know, this is a very simple
sure,
project.
sure.
Mr. Chair?
Yes,
Our ordinance defines a multiple family as 3 or more families living independently. A building designed for and occupied by 3 or more families living independently with separate housekeeping, cooking, and bathroom facilities.
So 3 is multiple?
3 is multiple. Which then puts it, which just requires a lighting plan, is my understanding.
Yeah, I mean, that's what the zoning ordinance says. It's clearly written.
I thought I had read it earlier, too.
I know, but it's up to your discretion. I mean, I don't know where you're gonna put a light pole and what else
I mean,
is there to do? It's a
If we can,
house.
I think it's just important for future, like, we follow the rules now, so we,
I-
future.
but-
I suppose all it really is, you know, where you're putting those exterior lights, you know, is another one of these drawings that just has your lighting.
So by code, Michigan Building Code requires all exit discharges to be illuminated. So all of his exterior doors that would lead to a path of travel to the outdoors are required to be illuminated. So just a simple light next to the door, like all that we have on all our residential houses, would be sufficient according to the Michigan Building Code. Michigan Building Code also recognizes that a 4 unit is considered a residential dwelling. So I guess
So,
our language doesn't match the state ordinance, or state building code maybe, but I think you could ask Mr. By, as a contingency upon your approval, to provide a light plan, and with that light plan, it would be showing those exterior lights on the exterior plan at the exit discharge. As far as a light pole, I have to agree with Alex. If I were to live there, or if any of you, is that something that you would want to see in your front yard?
No.
That LED light? I mean, it could be a mixed thing. I could see it. Let's look at Mill Point, for example. I could see the reason why they would need lighting for the road and sidewalks. Oakwood is
A large development.
dead street, no sidewalks, but it's your discretion. I did not catch that in the plan. Alex had a different interpretation of it as well, so, you know.
It's not that I'm saying I think it's a huge deal breaker. I just think if something to be touched on, to say, we identify it and this is the reason why we're not going to do it or whatever. So for the future,
Yeah, I would suggest add that to your list of modifications or updates we need to be doing to make some of these match up with actual codes.
Well, currently the lighting plan, I didn't show it on here. It was shown on the engineering is one.
Yeah, you had it on one of these.
Yeah, on the engineering, on the front. But my plan was, obviously, by building code, I have to have one for the rear sliding glass doors. And that'll be an LED downlight.
Oh, yeah, it does show it here.
Yeah.
And then also the, on the front, are the LED downlights. I don't think anyone builds with incandescent anymore. I know I don't.
You can't buy them. You can't even buy them. So, Mr. Koskela, does that meet your lighting plan?
I think everyone else is happy with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I can see where they're at on that drawing.
And another, just for, to make you feel a little bit more confident in your decision, was not required for the 4-unit dwelling that is just southeast of that project on the same road. Which you
Yeah.
remember we did prior to.
Across the street and down at the
I think
end.
that's kind of, I will interject here and say, just because we didn't follow the law previously, or ordinance
Sure.
previously, doesn't mean we should continue to not follow
I agree
the
with
ordinance.
Mr. Councilman. We definitely need to get it cleaned up. So here at administration, you know, the decisions that we make are, we talked to Alex with Mr. Walker and whether or not we revamp the zoning ordinance or we take a look at the capital improvement plan. I know both of them are extremely expensive as far as the presentation of getting Roe to put those documents together. So it was a decision of what project we do what year. And we also have the master plan that's going to be starting their review within the next year or two. So it's like as soon as we get the capital improvement plan, we're going to immediately deep dive back into making sure that the master plan is updated. So as administration, we thought that if we started the capital improvement plan, and then as we progress through that next year, towards the end of that, 2025, we'll be revisiting the master plan, and then it'd be easier to encompass a bunch more of the text amendments into one meeting versus a la carte, let's say, that we would be doing throughout this year. So budgetary is kind of how administration looked at it. But, you know, if you choose, if it's the discretion of the commission to look at the capital improvement plan at a later date and look at the rezoning ordinance and looking at master plans, then that's your decision there.
I'll just add, Chair, just to that, is granted, there are some, I guess, deficiencies in the zoning ordinance, you know, things are not keeping up with what's been going on in the village over the years. But, you know, it's up to the planning commission to make the discretion, but the thing is, as long as you're making judgments consistently, if you did with the other applicant, you know, to the east, or, you know, then it's fine. But if you have dramatic inconsistencies, that's when I think you get in a gray area. Not that you're going to get sued necessarily, but you get in a gray area. But as long as you're interpreting consistently, because sometimes the language or whatever's been on the book for whatever reason, however long, you know, sometimes it's a matter of interpretation, you know, and so here it's kind of like what's in the best, you know, intent of applying it for the community. So, and, you know, that's, you know, when you have someone that puts time like Jim has, you know, you find these things that need to be improved. I mean, that's a responsibility of the planning commission. It is. Because you look at, because you're stewards of the community, you find things that this is not working for us. It might have worked for us or somebody, way back whenever, but now, you know, we have different goals in the community. We want to provide housing, or we want to, you know, have a different look or feel to the community as we've evolved, right? Or, you know, our desires or tastes change. So that's for you guys to look at it and you know, address, you know, some communities do text amendments regularly. Other communities, you know, do like a wholesale change when it's appropriate. And so it's been a while for you guys, I know, and that's how these things come up. I mean, it's just part of the process. It's just part of the course, really.
And then we have the lighting too, right? Not only with this type of lighting, but also the candle watts versus the lumens. And so, I mean, the laundry list is there with text amendments that are needed. Wants and needs, right? So I guess it boils down to wants.
Mr. Bye's still standing there.
I think we need to make a motion.
Let's make sure, are you saying that because you have another question for him?
No, I'm
Or-
just saying the poor man's
We-
standing
yeah,
there.
we need to- we need to
I know.
take care of this before we
He is
start
very
talking administration.
patient
Be very
with us.
patient. Yeah.
If no one else has anything for Mr. Bai, we can thank you and you can be seated. So you're saying you're ready to make the motion?
Don't have it. Go ahead. I'm gonna listen to him
Oh,
first.
yes.
Even though there's no public, we should.
Oh,
That there's been
okay.
extra comments.
Yep, okay. Anybody in our public wish to make comments before we move forward here? Now you may.
Okay, I think I'm gonna try this.
Okay, we can
I
help you
think I'm
with
gonna
it.
try all the. There's a couple contingencies. That's what makes it.
There's
This
only
is
one
one.
contingency we
Only
need to worry about, and that's that
It's in the
they
yellow.
will, that he will provide his,
But the
Provide
Master deed bylaws.
the
Okay.
village clerk or the
Point of
treasurer
order,
a copy
please.
of the bylaws and consolidated master
Point of order.
or
Yes.
master deed, I'm sorry.
I could be wrong, but don't we have to do
And the lighting.
discussion of CIP first before we get to this vote?
we modified the
yeah, we went
agenda.
back and forth.
I am indeed wrong, my bad.
Yep, that's okay, that's okay.
Okay,
That was a while ago.
I move that we approve the site plan at 2024-001 for the property located at 107 Oakwood, ID IH0127351005, with the contingency that the developer will, or the Mr. Bai will provide the
Master deed.
the master deed
Deed
to-
bylaws.
And the bylaws.
bylaws
And bylaws.
for the village clerk treasurer and consolidated master deed. Is that it?
Mm-hmm. Does that sound good?
I'll
Are you
second that.
content? Good.
Yep.
There you go.
Got it. We can do this. I think.
Okay, we have a motion
Good job, Jess.
and
Not
a
well
second.
done, but
Was
new
good.
motion.
Roll call, please.
H0lly,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Lacey,
Yes.
Wallace,
Yes.
H0lly,
Yes.
Bessessa,
Yes.
Kinnaman,
Yes. Motion passes. You may start building.
Now we can talk about this capital
Yes.
soon, once we do the administrative stuff.
Thank you.
Okay.
I would like to thank the commission for agreeing the agenda for Mr. Bai so that he can carry on with his thing.
We could have made him stand up there for this part too.
Good
Okay.
thing he's not a redhead like me.
Huh?
It's a good thing he's not a redhead like me.
Mr.
So I'll do a brief introduction on the capital improvement plan. I know this has been a hot topic for many years. We have reached out to Rowe Engineering, Alex in particular, on best steps of moving forward. So what we provided is a copy of the Village of North Branch's capital improvement program. The Village of North Branch is very comparable to the Village of like budgetary, citizens, geographics. They are RC compliant, certified. We just got ours back.
What does that mean? What does that mean? What you just
RRC.
said, RRC compliant, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Don't mind me, okay. It's a great question.
You speak
And I'm
in the
gonna give you a
lingo.
long one on this one. I
You
really
speak in the
will.
lingo, I don't
So
know.
RRC is the Redevelopment Ready Communities Program with the MEDC, the Michigan.
Yes, say that again.
Right.
It's- What is it again?
So you know it all along, you know it all along.
Redevelopment ready, right?
Redevelopment Ready Communities.
Okay, we're not on that list.
So So with MEDC, Michigan Economic Development Corporation. So my graduate professor at Wayne State 27 years ago started this program, the Suburbs Alliance, inner ring suburbs of Detroit. How do you make yourselves more marketable? How do you get, zoning ordinances in place, doing things the right way so that you can attract investment and be a better community for, everyone around, right?
Right.
Great program, Eastern Scotland, sold it to the state because they loved the program so much. Now it's really become a life of its own, right? So it's really a program of best practices, things the state endorses, and tied to this program of, moving the needle, updating your zoning ordinances, addressing your master plan, doing a capital improvements plan. The state recognizes that, and we've met with them, two occasions now, with Jeremy the past year, or just recently, this past month, whatever you guys are doing, you move it across this board that they have of best practices, and they check off and say, hey, you guys have updated your website, which we moved over. So,
Okay.
you guys are obviously doing great things. So, and that opens you up for a possibility to receive grants and funding to even pay for your zoning ordinance or your master plan update. And a lot of our clients that we work with, they pay us through the state because they receive the funds.
Okay.
So,
Weren't we evaluated like in 2021 or 2020 or something like
Actually,
that?
We get evaluated every year.
yeah, every year.
Okay, but there was one where they did a presentation at a village council meeting and there
Yeah,
was
and
a,
that's a great point.
and when was that done?
Right,
is my
so the
question.
state kind of, and they know this too, they kind of move the field goal post. Sometimes they come in and they say, well, we're not gonna come in because we can't make it to all the communities. And it's like, well, we'll just have a meeting with you, or we'll do an email exchange, or, so that how they interact with everyone and the demand has changed because now they've opened up this program to also communities that aren't an RRC program, funding townships, because it was more about, the idea was, let's support and fund places people want to live,
Right.
like downtown historic villages like yours, right? So that was like, you guys were identified as one of those communities that they want to target.
Right.
And so the popularity of it, well, the rest of the state's like, well, I don't have a downtown, I'm not that cool, what can you do for us? Well, okay, if you implement some of these best practices, like we have for these other communities, open up funding. So they've been busier, they have more clientele, if you will,
Right.
with municipalities across the state. So, so here we are talking about RRC, we're talking about capital improvements plan. And so, similar to you guys, like I shared before, the Village of North Branch is similar to you guys, a little more advanced, they've been at it. But ultimately, like the state will tell you as well, is your capital improvements plan is kind of like a wish list. It's like a Christmas list. You put down together kind of a list of things you want. You determine, where where the funding is coming from, whether it's grants or the general fund or other programs. And you kind of connect the dots and saying, we'll pay for that fire truck, or we'll pay for, this intersection, or whatever, sewers, whatever it may be, with different funding sources. And you look at that over 5 years. So maybe you won't get it now. Maybe in 5 years or 2 years you can get that, the intersection improved. So you just kind of create this wish list, a tally of what it is that you guys want to achieve. So it's just a way to, put it on paper and work your way towards those goals.
Plan and set priorities.
Right. And exactly, set priority. That's part of that is, okay, we have all these, and then it's like, all right, what's the number one of the priorities?
Right.
We always want that new thing, but maybe it's not going to happen. Well, next year will happen. Well, we can get to this one now, right?
Okay.
So it's still, a working, breathing document is what it is. So, like I told, Jeremy, is just start off small, work on that list, let it come to you guys, and you slowly develop it over time, So,
I would like to add though, for the RRC, this year, all monies has already been exhausted, and it's not even April, right? So what the money, the pot that they had for communities like ourselves who are trying to be
Certified and.
versus,
Oh, yeah.
what's
Well,
it?
now they open the funding to communities that aren't even part of this RFC program. It's kind of crazy what's happened. And to be honest with you, they were admitted, it's like, maybe it wasn't the best, but we think we can get some more funding from the state down the road for, other communities that are in the RRC program. So, because master plans and zoning ordinance, folks want to do those things, and they've cost communities over $100,000 to do one of those plans.
Right.
I don't think it would cost nearly as much for you guys, but when you're competing with Kalamazoo and other large cities that are have huge staffs and huge budgets, and they put these things together, they're ready and primed for when these opportunities come to jump on it. So.
I remember sitting through the presentation, and it seemed to me, Jeremy, can you help me out?
Sure, I'd love to.
When was that?
So honestly, I've been working on this program since day one.
Okay, what year?
That day one was probably 2018.
Okay.
Katie Golden
Yep.
and I started this way back when. I can tell you that we just checked a big box with a new website.
Right.
We just got our evaluation back, I want to say Thursday of last week, our most recent. We do have some low-hanging fruit on our most recent evaluation, and some of that is putting our zoning map online, putting a contact individual listed on the website. So now that the website has been rebuilt to match our RC standards, now we can start adding those things. Alex and I and Nick Klemp had our most recent meeting, I think it was last Friday, with Stephanie Pena, who is our liaison for the RRC. She was unable to attend the last meeting, so we had to delay it a couple weeks, but we are 30% compliant with a little bit of low-hanging fruit. We're 21% compliant with the certified local government, which is a little bit higher tier. We're not looking for that one. We're just looking to be RRC.
I forgot the word.
Yeah, there's two levels. We're looking to be the lower one, which still opens
Essentials.
Essentials, thank you. Which opens us up for funding. And really our goal was to get funding to help us with the master plan for our next revision, which is, I believe, 2026, the beginning of 2026, I believe. So Nick and I have been working, trying to get the website done. That was completed at the end of December. So now that we've had our most recent evaluation completed, now we know what, and like Alex says, it's been kind of a challenge for us because as soon as we get a few things done, they move the goalposts on us and they change their expectations for us. So we have to go back and restart and resubmit, and it's been a little bit frustrating for Nick and I, mostly Nick, he's been working diligently on it, but it's the expectations. But I can tell you that the capital improvement plan is part of the RRC Essentials plan. So, which was also one of the main driving forces behind the recommendation that we start with the capital improvement plan before we look at text amendments. Because if we can get RRC certified or essential, there's some possibility that we can get some additional funding to help pay for Alex and Rowe to do the master plan update. So that's kind of our goal.
And or the zoning ordinance. And other things too, that work for you guys.
Mr. DeSessa.
So, thank you so much for your work so far on this. Obviously, you're doing a lot of stuff, but where the rubber meets the road, I'm still not hearing when will we be able to start work, this panel, on this CIP plan?
Today's the day.
Today's the day.
We're starting. So that we're introducing a template to you,
Okay.
and that's what this packet is, right? This is kind of an approved document from
Yes.
the RRC,
Okay.
what Alex and his team have worked on. Yep, what Alex and his team have worked on. They helped create this. So,
I wish I'd known that we'd open some champagne.
Mr. DeSessa, I
For celebration or for tears? Please tell me.
I understand, I empathize with you. I know we've had multiple discussions on this over the
Yeah,
years.
and I didn't mean that as sarcastically.
No, you're good.
I really didn't. I mean, I'm really happy. I did not realize that this was kind of the rollout, and I'm very happy about that.
And that's why I kind of suggested that we alter the agenda, because as administration, we couldn't change the agenda to have whole business.
Yeah.
And that's why I made this suggestion to the chair this evening. So Mr. Biden had to sit through this, because I knew it was going to be a long process.
Yeah.
But today, what we're looking is to introduce this packet. I hope that you took the time over the last 2 weeks to just kind of glance at it. And tonight, we're looking to just kind of set some expectations, set some goals for what we're going to do upcoming meetings. Tonight, we're introducing it to you, we're answering questions, and then our process with Alex is going to be first steps. And like he said, it's a Christmas list, it's a wish list. I remember when Caitlin was here, and no offense to anybody, but when we did our master plan, some of those items in the master plan should align with our capital improvement plan. So I think that may be a good starting spot to make sure, one, that when we created the master plan, we're hitting at least a couple of those topics, or at least recognizing those topics. But, you know, that was 2021, when we did the master plan. So obviously a lot's changed since in 4 years, right? So some of those wants or wishes that we did when we had our initial master plan update or built may be different than today. So today is really about setting some expectations, educating the commission on the process, and it's not going to be something that's done in 1 or 2 meetings. Honestly, it's probably going to take almost the rest of the year to complete a project and get it to council for approval.
Well, and I think that you touched on the timing with the master plan correctly. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, else. I thought from your training that, you're supposed to try to sync up the CIP with the master plan every 5 years and then update it every year. But the whole process of really updating it around that is, I thought, every 5 years.
So, yeah, yes and no. So so they're a little bit different. They're independent of each other. The CIP is one thing, the master plan is another. So with the master plan, the state requires you to look at your master plan every 5 years. So you guys did a big update in what, 2020?
I want to say it was 2021, I apologize.
Yeah, I can't, I should remember too, but, and so it'd be coming up in 2026. Now, you guys could say, we want to do another plan, I mean, we want to look at and update some things and look it over and add things or remove things or look at our goals or whatever it may be. You can do that. Or you can just look at it and say, hey, we read through it, this still is because the master plan is a vision document. It's nothing more than what you want it to be. You do the research of your demographics, your natural resources. You maybe did I think a housing study was in there as well. You did a public input. You wrote up your right, you did, right? And then you did your goals and objectives of what, based on what you guys, the planning commission at the time, of course, wants the community to be, as well as public input. And then you develop your future land use map, and then your implementation, your zoning plan in there, and you had some things that should refer to the zoning ordinance. So it's a vision document, is what it is. Now, if you feel as if that vision is still pretty much resonates with you guys in 2026, you guys can have a meeting, look at it, say it's wonderful, it's good, it's we approved it again. I forgot the word I'm using for it. What's the word? Not amend. It's
Well, I'm sure there's going to be some amendments,
right,
especially with what you guys requested so far, like the lighting, right?
Yeah.
It just needs some updates done to it.
I mean, it could be as simple, literally, I mean, it could be as simple. Now, I'm not recommending that, but it could be as simple as we looked at it in 2026, you put 2026 on there, you sign it off, and you're good with it, if you feel as if. Now, if it's not, you guys can determine how much you want to study and look at it, right? And what you want to update, whether you want to update the demographics or do a whole no public input. And at that time, it's best to then update your zoning ordinance. And that's kind of a long ways away, right? Because you don't really want to necessarily do a vision document and then you change essentially what are your laws governing planning and zoning for the community and do it the other way around, right? You want to put you don't put the cart before the horse, right? Now, the CIP is something that you guys can work on every year. It's a rolling plan. If you're good for 5 years, wonderful. Look at it in 5 years if you want. In the Village of North Branch, every year they look at it, they fine tune it. One thing comes off the list because they did one project, moves away, they know they have access to funds. And the thing is, you want to look at your funding sources, the categories in which they fall into, and then the projects listed. So I guess the most important thing, I know I've mentioned this, it's been a while for you, because I still have your Christmas cookies. And I recommend you guys, I mean, I know it might be boring and nerding out, but take this home with you guys and read it.
Yeah.
And write over it and think of what you guys want to have in the village. That's kind of what the idea is. And then I'll take your notes, put it together, I'll write up a draft for you guys, and you can look at it and say, hey, this kind of worked for us, maybe not. Maybe we'll move this here and move that there, take this off the list. And then when you're good with it, whenever that is, in a few, couple months or down the road, then you can move it up to the council for approval. And that's really what it is. It's creating a list of funding sources, categories, projects, and how much that costs. And so that takes input in from staff, consultant, yourselves, determining what those numbers are. And then towards the end, you have like essentially a priority list. High, low, so on and so forth. And that's kind of it. It's kind of just a really physical capital improvement budget, that you work with.
It would
As a
be
guide.
like for the budget meetings that is for the village are coming up at the end of April. And so that would where we would start with at least the numbers at that time.
Yeah, you
That would
definitely
be
want
the-
the input
yeah.
from the staff. I mean,
Yes.
it's a work in progress. So, this is something new for the village, and that's fine. You guys have to start small. This is a pretty good example, a community that's similar to you guys in northern Lapeer County that's, to use the lack of a better term, a boxing term, they're punching above their weight class. These guys are doing a really, really good job. They've been certified for years, they're really proud of it. It's not a big place, historic, farming community, quite rural in the thumb. And, they do a really good job of, working together and getting this done. And, this, even for them, I'm probably at it 3 or 4 months.
Would it make sense for them to come speak to us at some point? I mean, just throwing it out there. I mean, I don't want to waste anybody's time.
I mean, I'm kind of that person for them.
Okay, I hear you.
Yeah.
My question is, it's
Yeah.
been 6 years since we had ours done. Did North Branch kick it into high gear as soon as they got their assessment?
Assessment, sorry.
Or from the redevelopment ready communities?
No,
from the MADC did their
it's a work
thing?
in progress. To get to this point, it's going to take you guys a while.
Right. No,
Like, you know what I mean?
I'm
Like-
asking.
Yeah.
If we had started this 6 years ago when we first had our assessment, would we be equal to North Branch? Did they take what was done for them seriously and run with it?
We
They
still
have a lot.
of
They have a
process.
lot of stuff that's still. Like I've been working with them for a while, and I can just tell you, and this is public information. I mean, they still have stuff that has been sitting there for a while.
Okay.
That hasn't moved.
All right.
You know what I mean? They've done the gazebo and they've done the this and the that, but I mean, there's still stuff on there that, the big one was this, this industrial park
Mhm.
pavement thing they've just done for this current year. So,
Okay.
it's like I said, it's a wish list. If they could have done 5 projects they really wanted to, they really got to me about 2 of them. So just being honest with yourselves. I mean, this is, keeping, because people want to talk about, oh, we need to do this, oh, we need to do that. And that's great. Everyone
Right.
wants that input, but it's putting it together and then obviously, kind of hammering out and saying, well, push comes to shove, this is what we have.
Just to make the point that a couple things. First of all, you mentioned it, but just to stress, this is a prioritized list of projects. Ideally, these are 1, 2, 3 prioritized.
Yeah.
You're not just picking a wish list of 20, but it's 20 prioritized projects from the top down. But secondly, I know there's some concern among the administration, and I'm glad that we're doing this. Don't get me wrong. I wanted us to do that along with some others. But the point being that we want to work with the administration right from the get-go, and if it means them giving us their existing priorities, as far as I'm concerned, to start from as a draft, Not that we won't look at that ourselves, but it's supposed to be working with the administration, is it not?
100%, yes.
Okay.
And that's why I'm here, right?
Yeah.
I'm here to help facilitate and work through these documents. I think the biggest concern I have as we look at this document and we move forward is that we become unrealistic, right?
Right.
We all know what our budget is. It's very transparent, it's very public. But at the same time, you know, we can't ask for complete underground repair of Sherman and Coggeshall, and then also ask for complete redevelopment of the North Holly, Grange Hall corridor. So, I mean, those are multi-million dollar, now if we look at additional funding resources, which there are some out there, I can tell you since November 22nd, when I took the chief role, all I've done since then is submit about 15 grants.
Yeah.
Some of those grants have taken me 2-3 weeks just to complete, and that's working 8 hours a day. Just gathering data, making sure the data is correct and aligns with what their expectations are.
Right.
I've received 2 of the 15 so far, right? But it's a process.
I think you have to be realistic. I mean, is it a dedicated funding source that you can cite? And then if you can, I mean, that moves it up the list as far as I'm concerned. It's one thing to list a grant, but do you get the grant or not?
And then the other thing that I'm having trouble with is match, right? So there's this great grant out there that has very high success rate, but it's 60% match. But when you're looking at 1.4 million and my budget's 700,000 and 80% of it goes to payroll,
You don't have it.
I can't submit,
But
right? And it hurts.
Having this available though, does that help you when funding does come available?
I was just gonna say that. So just what you guys are saying, and we're all thinking the same thing, right? You start making yourself qualify for the RRC and
Right.
stuff, and then you have a match with the match.
I mean, I've been
So
bitching
you
about
have-
shovel-ready projects not being on the shelf
Right,
for
and you
a long
have,
time.
and so you're finding out the area where you can have some gap financing. So it's kind of like, I mean, not to be, too, I don't know, I mean, just like, it's like a family budget.
Yeah.
You kind of, on the capital improvement side, right? You
Yep.
just putting that kind of to list together and, I guess like, get something going.
Right.
And then as you guys get better at it, it becomes something a little bit, I mean, this is a pretty big list. It's a little, little sophisticated, for its community. So it doesn't have to be as long, just, I mean, if you
You
have.
can evolve to that though.
Right, they evolve to that. I mean, if you guys can get, 5 to 10
Well,
things.
It makes me feel like we're doing some planning.
Well, that's
This
yeah,
is a
all right.
planning commission. I mean, I have
Right.
people in the community say, oh, you guys must be really busy. It's like, no, we haven't met for 4 months.
Yeah.
Not like we don't have some planning we need.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I mean, that's a funny thing you brought up, and I know I'm probably more talkative, but again, I have history in this community. I've been around in this community for 13 years in Fulton County or whatever. So it's like, if there's a community like, sorry, Brandon, but these guys are my guys. Sorry, I haven't been introduced. Brandon, he's new with us. He's worked in DDAs and economic development in Macomb County for years. He's a finance background. His father's pretty well known in economic development in the Saginaw Bay area too. So he's been in it, and he's joined our team recently. So he just wanted to join in and listen on the conversation. And
Cool.
so
Welcome.
yeah.
Are you in Flint too, enroll at the office or remote?
Yeah, he's with us.
Okay.
Yeah. So what were we talking about?
We're talking about planning.
Planning. Yeah, so you guys are planning. I mean, that's what, that's kind of.
But we're not actually planning, we're not actually
Well,
doing
what
it.
I was going to say was, yeah, you haven't met. And to be honest with you, even we've seen it on our end because we do as needed planning and zoning services like we do for you guys. We do project-based work, whether it's CIPs, master plans, zoning ordinance. But in the as-needed part, like we do for you guys, we do a lot of site plan reviews.
Okay.
Site plans are down
Okay.
across the board everywhere. The cost of money's up there. Investments into the community have slowed down dramatically. Like for us, we're not doing a lot of site plan reviews, and that's why you guys haven't seen me, and I haven't seen you, and that's been the case for a lot of clients that we've had.
Okay. But this stuff still needs to be done.
Yes, and then you guys are starting right now. You guys started
Right.
somewhere,
Right.
so here we are talking about it. I mean, I could talk about this all day because I live this. So
Yeah.
Alex, I think, and I don't know if I'm speaking out of line here, but it may be best that we consult with HDC and Parks.
Yeah.
Because I think, working together jointly with those two commissions and maybe seeing some of their wants or needs may align with your own wants and needs. So I know Parks has been pretty diligent with obtaining grants and funding for some equipment and benches. So I think, just thinking small in a family budget, maybe you look at new, example, benches at Great Ball or new picnic tables at Lakes,
Yeah.
rather than infrastructure on Sherman and Coggeshall, right? I think, as you see in this plan, it's involved to that, right?
But capital improvement indicates that it's big money.
No.
Like these
Capital-
people have set $5,000.
Right.
But capital improvement is literally physical infrastructure.
Right.
So anything's physical. So it could be sewers, it could be benches, it could be a gazebo, it could be sidewalks. It's just physical.
Well, I do like that idea of course, looping in those
Yes.
other panels.
And it helps kind of keep it realistic, right? I mean, there's nothing more than I want to see complete infrastructure replacement throughout. I mean, it helps the fire department to know that we're not gonna blow a water line if I come to your house because I have a pipe in the ground from 1940, right? So, listen, I want that as much as anybody else, but I also have a fire truck from 1989, and it's a ladder truck, right? So, it's where does the money come from and how do you delegate it and allocate the funding? So, I just ask to be cautious with your wants and just try to be realistic. And it's not that you can't shoot for the moon, but we just gotta have realistic funding.
So, Mr. Chair, it's just discussion today, we're not, no motions or action?
So I do have an action, and it's an action for you all.
Okay.
I would request that you open up your master plan. You go through it and you look at the requests from the public of their want list that is listed in that master plan and see if that aligns with your own. So next month, we're gonna meet. At that meeting, I would hope that you would all have 2, 3, 4, 5 different wants or needs. And then we kind of prioritize those according to the commission. And we may find that Ms. Lacy and Ms. Wallace have 3 of the exact same, right? So that makes it easy. But I think it's gonna take homework on all of us. And it starts with you guys first, because this is your document. But without knowing what your needs and wants are, it's hard to start. So today, we've given you an example. We've set some expectations. And then next month, we'll come with those expectations, review them. Based on Alex's expertise and recommendations, we'll take that next step. And each month, we'll take another step and another step until we know that we hopefully have a completed document in the very near future.
Did you say the master plan is not online?
If it is not, please reach out to myself or Carol. We can get you a digital copy. And maybe we'll send a digital copy just out on the mass email.
I was going to ask you to do that, as well as, I believe that the Parks Commission just did a survey. So if we could get that
Yeah.
as well, then we would have that, because that would be brand new.
So maybe to answer your question, there are no motions to be made on anything, as in that kind of action to be taken. It is listed as discussion and basically an assignment.
Okay.
So it's I think
Discussion with homework.
it'll be discussion over the next several months as we formulate something.
But I just want to make the point again, I've said it, and I know I repeat myself, and I love that we're moving forward. But when you say us create the list, that seems to go contrary to what our village administrator has been telling us. Right? I mean, you tell me if I'm wrong, you deal with him directly, but I thought he said they're basically, the village has been involved in one way or another in this process. It's just that we have it. Now we're involved, as we should be. But if they've got a list, shouldn't we work off of that list?
Well, I think the list is based off of the master plan,
Okay,
right? We start there. And obviously, administration is gonna take your list and review it with what their expectations are. I don't have a list from administration.
okay.
All I had was the go-ahead to get it going, right? So I immediately took the opportunity and told Alex, hey,
Yep.
give me an example. Carol, will you put it in the packet? And we're
I-
gonna meet and.
Yeah, I do think, kind of in line with what you're thinking a little bit too, in that I think it would be nice to have, the administration has ideas
Sure they
of
do.
what, they're thinking, this is for this year, this is for next year, when we.
Budgetary
when-
wise.
Right, but
Budgetary.
even when they brought before the council to approve applying for the grants for the roads and sewer infrastructure, that wasn't just oh, you know what, let's do that today. That stuff that's in the planning, in the mindset, and it may not all be documented, but it's still there. I wouldn't mind seeing something in writing of some ideas that administration has for, major and some smaller capital ideas. Because we can sit here and go, well, you know what, we want to be doing this way, and for 10 years, administration's been gradually moving us this way. I wouldn't mind if we were working together a little bit here and heading in the same direction.
So for my homework assignment, I will reach out to administration and get their list of priorities,
Yeah.
right? Big and small.
I mean,
And then I will bring that
It's
to
in here.
you, and then we'll compare lists and take that next step, right? I think it's not just one person's responsibility, it's an entire, not
Right.
only commission, but community, right? Because as you remember in the master plan, when we had very few from the community come to those multiple meetings that we had for their input, we documented it. We had whiteboards up, we took notes, we had brainstorm sessions. It was a great exercise, but the community involvement was lacking. And we definitely sent multiple mailers out. Roe chipped in with that, with those mailing expenses. So we each have an assignment, bottom line, right? So next month, we're gonna come back. I'm gonna have a list, you're gonna have a list, we're gonna talk about the list, and then we're gonna prioritize the list. And then in May, we'll come back and we'll talk about, okay, these are our priorities, what did administration think of those? And then it's just gonna be
It's gradually honing down something from all directions
Yeah.
until we can do this,
right.
which, if we can do this by Christmas,
Right.
Right.
But you're right, because like this has got a water tower on it. That's not something
That's
any
not
of
us.
us would
That's not us.
discuss, but it needs to be in here, right?
right,
Yeah.
if there's, things that
Yeah.
that
Good
are
point.
on the horizon, in the thought process, let's work on collaboratively with administration how we put those in this kind of a document.
Alex, question for you, my last question.
I can put your guys' name on this and turn it into you, and you guys would be done if you guys want.
If you could do that,
I just get a logo and I'll just put the Georgia H0lly. Water tower, why not?
Bill is for a new one.
Got it.
Main attraction.
but in all
We
ser-
just got the ones we've got
Don't we
painted.
need another one?
But I mean, I took your training a while back, and it's very good in
Yeah.
CIPs. And I'm just curious, not asking you to do it if you're not planning to already, but are you planning any CIP training for planning commissioners who want to attend it?
I don't know if you guys know, but Jason, or my old friend, colleague, he moved on to a new firm, cross state, doing something very different. Well, kind of the same, but different. So, we lost quite a bit. I mean, we have Brandon on, we have another person as well we've hired recently, and she's, in mid-Michigan doing stuff as well. Yeah, we're short-staffed. We're super busy right now. I've told Jeremy, we've got people calling us left and right to do stuff for them, and so, we have a list of our priority clients, 1, 2, 3, 4. You guys are in the 1 list. You guys are like number, I think, 3 or 4 for the whole company in terms of who I prefer to work with.
Who's above us? Name.
Well, they're paying a lot. That's why they're up there. We do a lot of work for them. It's Lapeer, City of Lapeer. We're there. I'm actually physically there once or twice a week in the office. So it's a different story. But Yeah, I mean, what's the question again? We're not doing any training right now. We're not
Friday training.
CES
that's
training.
fine.
No,
That's fine.
no. I mean,
Alex, is there anything in your,
to ask me, do I have a night at home to have dinner? To ask me that question.
I know the answer though.
Maybe
Friday.
have any of those previous sessions that you've done, have they been videoed?
Yeah.
That we could access a video of
Sure.
one of those.
You know, I think it would be better. I don't think we do have videos, but I don't know if the audio is good enough because we've come across that issue. I think I can provide you guys something from the state about what CIPs are, and you guys can read it along with this, kind of get an idea. Then that will be more beneficial. I don't think a video is going to do much for you because we have some videos when I look at them. I don't know if that one was recorded or not. I can look at it. I don't even know if we did a CIP one.
You could have training at the torch and have it there.
You can. Thursday afternoon, everyone's there. We'll just block off the whole alley. That'd be a nice idea.
Yeah.
Different, right?
Can we wait till it's warmer?
Sorry?
Can we wait till it's warmer out?
Yeah, a little warmer.
Buzzkill.
Got a question for you. So I'm looking at page 6 and 7 here.
Yeah.
Summary of funding sources. So if I'm reading this, the first year is the only one that they're pretty much, but the only one that they really have figured out. Do these communities not plan forward, or is this guaranteed money, or why is it like this?
Like I said, they're just trying to keep it in front of them. You know, some things they know they're paying, because it's supposed to be a 5-year plan, so it's like they know they're spending $30,000 every year on those sort of things. So in the past years, if you go back to like 2021, they would have more, you know, first 3 years, they would have more funding lined up. But for them, funding's kind of slowed down in some areas. And so they kind of kept it tight and short.
I mean, it's still acceptable to have a bunch of zeros on here and just,
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, you're keeping a tally, you know you're gonna spend money here, and because it's a 5-year plan, you know you're not spending.
Mhm.
But if you look at some of these, you know, they pop up, let me see here, there was ones in the past that was like, you know, they had like a 3-year gap. It wasn't this one in the years past. They had one where they did the first phase in 2021 and they did the second phase in 2024.
the water tower.
Right. So it's not a prerequisite to fund it every year. It's just what's the funding source, what are the category buckets in one of the projects we're doing. And so for you guys, I think more importantly is just think of the projects. Administration has an idea of the funding sources. I mean, that's kind of the job. And then you kind of create the buckets in terms of where you want it. And then the numbers are kind of, once again, sometimes it's staff telling you, you know, what they know, what the budgets are, or better yet, what do you guys want to push it up to? So, like I said, it's a working budget.
It's not going to be up to us necessarily to come up with all of the costs and all of the funding sources. Those are not necessarily our things, but to kind of hone a list and work on the prioritization of it is ours to do. And then we work with administration. They start figuring out where they can find grants, where they can figure the budget, where they can, you know, and manage it that way.
Right.
and Mr. Kissinger, as you look on here on page 7, you will see 2 big projects, right? Saginaw Street improvements, the DDA, and then decorative street lighting DDA. $100,000 that is on this piece of paper, which is also funded by the DDA. So
Right.
I think also networking with Nick Fleck and the DDA, I know he's got lots of projects, lots of secured funding that he is moving with. It may be fluff for the paper, but it's also goals and documents that we can help back up.
It helps us as a community as a whole
Right.
to be viewing one document,
Yeah.
as opposed to every little entity has its thing going on.
To your point, if you knew that DDA had a chance to get some grant for something and they only needed 20,000, we could up that priority to make a bigger thing happen.
If it
Understand what I'm
aligns with
saying?
their grant.
Right. So
The
if-
grants are very finicky on what you can.
Right, but what I'm saying is if we know what they want to accomplish and we say, geez, $10,000 could make this be a done deal, then we could make that a priority as we go through our discussions. Maybe not.
It's also important just to get something in place,
Yeah.
right, so that you're open for funding.
Yeah.
That's the other thing, it's
Yeah.
kind of like, the chicken or the egg, it's
Right.
like, well, if you don't, there's funding there available at the state level because, this is, an item that they want to see. So, like I said, read it over.
Create some major categories, put some detailed items within them that we think should be accomplished, and then figure out, I think it would even be more up to administration to be going, well, that might fit in year 3, this one fits in year 1, this one fits in year 5,
Yeah.
and so it's more really developing that list of items and getting that in place, and then we move from there.
I would recommend just, like I said, take this and write your notes on
Easy
there.
doc.
That you guys know there's something that you guys have been talking about for 3 years or 4, whatever, right? Or even 10 years. Just put it on there, right? And then and then what we'll do is you guys can talk about it and vet it, and I can take that list in, and that's what I do is I take it and and I obviously when you guys discuss and I make those edits, I bring it back to you guys look at it again, and then eventually come to pretty much a finalized list. So.
Good. Okay. So I'm going to kind of summarize this so that we know what we're thinking as we move ahead. We all have the assignment of coming back with items that we think that we will talk about at the next meeting. Along with that process, Jeremy will send us, or Carol will get us, master plan, digital copy of the master plan, so that we can have that to look at as well. And
Park survey.
we get the park survey, and info from DDA. And so those are the things that will come back to us for the next one. What?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I just want to confirm, will we be having a meeting next month, even if there's nothing else on the agenda?
Yes.
Okay. And will Alex be here as well?
I can't guarantee that.
Okay.
We'll talk with administration.
I mean, we would settle for this underling too.
We don't want him to have dinner.
This may be, if there's nothing on the agenda, maybe we just meet as a normal board or a commission, and we just start the process, right? And if we have something together, then I'll reach out to Alex for the month of May and say, hey, we got a nice list, can you come and listen and maybe prepare a small document to move forward?
You just FaceTime.
It
So,
would be best to put it, write it down, and if the vice chair wants to, are you the chair or the vice chair now?
I'm vice.
You're the vice,
at
right,
this
okay.
point,
I know you had
yes.
elections and I missed it because I've been here for a year.
Well,
But-
elections will be
Tonight.
a further
Okay, so,
agenda item here.
have
so-
one consolidated notes, and then I could kind of bring you guys back up.
So maybe that's a question in that then. Do we want maybe to submit our lists so that they can be formulated prior to the packet?
No, I'm
Like
No.
submit stuff
So
or
we can
just
have
have verbal?
conversation.
Okay, good.
That's probably the best.
Okay,
And as it stands right now, as Alex says, site plan is slow. So as it stands right now, nothing is on his desk for review. There's a couple projects that are lingering, but nothing that has been confirmed. So they're already almost at the deadline of not being able to meet next month's meeting according to our standards. So as it sits right now, we're going to meet next month. If it's an hour, just to have a little communication time, formulate a list, get it back to Alex, and maybe Alex is May or maybe it's June. We won't know until next month when we have those discussions.
good. Okay, thank you.
Good luck, guys.
Thanks, Alex.
Fine.
Okay, let's move on to our next item, election of officers.
Has anyone spoken with our current chair?
Yes, and he said he would be willing to continue.
I'd like to make the motion to nominate Mr. Okonski as chair.
Second that.
Motion and second to, for Mr. Okonski to be chair. Huh?
Roll call.
Yep, roll call vote.
Wallace,
Yes.
Lacy,
Yes.
Haskella,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
DeSessa,
Yes.
Everly,
Yes.
Kinnaman.
Yes. Motion carries.
Are you willing to be vice chair still?
I am willing to still do vice, yes.
Then I would like to nominate Richard Kinnaman to be vice chair again, please.
I will second that.
Motion and second. I will recuse myself from vote.
I think we can carry it.
Huh?
We have to vote on you recusing yourself?
Technically, you do, yes.
Can we just?
I offer a recusal, and you guys make a motion and vote on it.
Okay. I'll make the motion to accept Richard Kinnaman's recusal of this vote for
I
vice chair.
second.
Okay,
So we'll do a roll call on that first.
yep.
DeSessa,
Yes.
Lacy,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Haskella,
Yes.
Wallace,
Yes.
Everly,
Yes.
Kinnaman.
Yes.
Now we can-
We'll also make a motion
We still have
that,
a motion on
Now,
the
the
do we have
motion
one?
is
Okay.
already there
floor with a second.
okay.
with a second, so,
Okay.
Roll call vote on that.
This is for you to be co-chair.
yes.
Lacy,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Everly,
Yes.
Wallace,
Yes.
DeSessa,
Yes.
Haskella.
Yes.
Kinnaman.
Recusal.
Oh, sorry.
Perfect.
I was prepared to say that, because I knew you'd be on a roll.
Muscle memory, my son calls that.
We still have one more position.
Which is?
Secretary.
Secretary,
I think that's
yes.
me right now, isn't it?
Ms. Lacy.
Oh, Miss Lacey is. I thought I was.
Do I keep doing it?
Yeah, do.
Oh, are you?
I
All right,
nominate
cool.
Miss
Oh, I'm
Lacey.
on ZBA. That's why.
Second.
Motion and second.
And then Ms. Lacy, are you gonna do the same?
I am
Oh, can I motion that?
myself from,
I move that we accept her recusal from the
Now we need a
vote.
second.
And second.
Thank you.
And a roll call vote on that. Formalities are so fun, aren't they?
Aren't they?
Yes.
Okay. Campbell,
Yes.
Everly,
Yes.
Wallace,
Yes.
DeSessa,
Yes.
Haskella,
Yes.
Kinnaman.
Yes. Okay.
So now we have a motion on the
Now-
floor with a second for
And-
Ms. Lacy to be secretary.
Okay.
Yes.
Roll call.
Everly,
Yes.
DeSessa,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Haskella.
Yes.
Lacy. Oh,
Recusal.
Wallace.
Yes.
Kinnaman.
Yes. Very good.
Thank you.
Perfect. All right.
That was probably the hardest thing we did all day.
This is what I've been looking forward to all night. I like Jeremy's report.
Next is Mr. Watson's
Annual report.
annual report.
Great, thank you. So annual report, pretty basic. Last year was probably one of the smallest years we've had since I've been a liaison. So made it a little bit easier for the annual report, which I would like to state that this is also a requirement for RRC. So I've been doing this for 4 years, maybe 5 years now, which I've tried to maintain even though we're not certified essential, but it's good practice. So we met 6 times. We conducted 5 public hearings and considered 2 separate requests for either site plan review or amending the zoning ordinance. At the beginning of each meeting, a member of the commission reads the following mission statement, which I won't read again tonight. Summary of the cases considered. January, we did election of officers, and I presented the annual report. We also had site plan review for 3526 Grange Hall, which was approved. February was canceled due to lack of business. March was 2023-002 special land request for 111 Battle Alley for a short-term rental. That was also approved. April canceled due to lack of business. May was a 2023-003 rezone request from commercial to industrial. IH for a parcel, which was application rescinded his offer, or his application. June was 2023-004 site plan for 502 North Saginaw, which was approved. And we also had to that meeting, which was 2023-005 special land use for 108 South Saginaw, short-term rental again, which was approved. July and August were both canceled due to lack of business. September, we met and discussed 2023-006 special land use request for 105 Railroad Street, short-term rental, which was also approved. In October, we met with Mr. Bai, who was here in front of us this evening, 2023-007, rezoned to commercial to NLC, 107 Oakwood, which was approved. And as we all remember, November and December were both canceled due to lack of business. I would be willing to answer any questions from the annual report of 2023. I also prepare these annual reports for Zoning Board of Appeals and the Historic District Commission as well. So.
Mr. Chair, would it be a motion to accept that in order, or not necessarily?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Do we make a motion to accept that or to refer that?
So council, it's already been to council, Mr. Kinnaman, as you
All
can
right.
recall. Council did approve all three of my reports back in January. So unfortunately, we haven't met since then. This is just kind of keeping you up to date, letting you know that I'm still on my toes, maintaining the annual reports for all three commissions.
Even though we don't meet, you still work.
I try to.
Thank you. Cool. Training basically happened with the CIP. So let's move on to reports. ZBA.
We haven't met. I don't even remember the last time we met.
Which is good, right?
Which is good, because we're doing our job here. We don't have to do ZBA stuff.
Right.
Yes. It's been a minute. We
Yep.
we do actually have to do a meeting sometime just to check in with each other and see who's still on the board.
DDA. We don't really have anybody from DDA here, but I was at the promotions meeting yesterday. There is Shire, what is that called? Shire.
Oh, it's a habit.
Something.
Something.
Yes,
A habit
and
thing.
it is not an actual DDA event. It is a business-run event, but it is a downtown activity. There will be a fun run and a couple other things going on. Many of the businesses are theming themselves for the day, and the Friday night will be more of your adult night. Saturday will be families, and then other things on Sunday, I think. But so that's a great thing. I think it's 17th and 18th, I think, of April. So it's just a couple of weeks away. And then Ladies' Night Out will be in May. So be watching for that. And they are shifting back more to the Friday night event.
Good.
As opposed to all weekend. There will be specials all weekend, but the main event will be Friday night.
I'm not sure if it's actual DDA. New banners are up down Saginaw.
Yep, those
So
are
that's beautiful.
DDA.
And then with another DDA, there was a Nick Klemp sighting this morning in front of my house on Saginaw. He was doing inventory of inoperable street lights where they actually do the Christmas lights. So that'll be nice if those are fixed by consumers eventually.
Yeah.
I saw him walking up and down the street. Actually, I was going to stop to see if he did because he was walking.
Walking, right?
Yes.
Somewhere.
You have to be better when you see him.
Council, I would say our only real update is that they are nearing completion on the new offices. And
How long are we gonna be meeting in here?
I would assume May's meeting will probably be.
May for sure will be there. It's whether our April one will be there yet.
You're saying there is a new city hall?
Yes, at the new village offices. There is a room like this built there, yes. I've seen it without drywall up, so it's been a couple of weeks, but it looks nice, yes. Parks, anybody with parks? Did you attend parks?
Nope.
You didn't?
No,
Oh.
usually I just attend the DDA, but I didn't.
The big thing with parks is they did approve moving forward with a monument in Cyclone Park, and that came before council as well, and we approved a committee to report to parks on a design. And then the final design will come back to council in the end. That's their big thing, I think. Council comments, we start with staff, don't we?
Thank you. I have a couple. So the fire department is organizing a multi-department, and by multi, we will have 10 fire departments and the state MABUS team here in this building on June 8th. So as part of the requirement from the school district, they asked me to get the information out as quick as I can and continue to get that information out. But when you see 10 fire departments here plus the state MABUS team,
Don't panic.
don't panic, yes, right?
Yep.
Because you're gonna have well over 100 firefighters, multiple fire trucks here. The school has opened the doors for one day and one day only for us to come in and just have multiple trainings. So the 10 fire departments range from Grambling, Fenton City, Oxford, North Oakland, Springfield, Groveland, Brandon. I know I'm missing a couple more, and I apologize if you're listening. But it's going to be a phenomenal day, and we're super excited that the school has given us this opportunity. But if you're in the area, please stop by and keep your distance, but take a look, because we're going to be doing roof operations, wall breaches, May days, which is down firefighter, hose lays, flowing water. The only request the school had was not to light any fires, so there will be no live burns.
What date was that? I'm sorry.
Saturday, June 8th, from 8 to 5. We'll have lots of signage. You'll see some stuff coming out on the village website and GovDoc.
Gov delivery and stuff, yeah.
But
This is-
spread the word, because the last thing I want is the school to be upset with the fire department for not getting the word out. So thanks for letting me have that platform.
Yep, this is a rare opportunity for a building like this to be available for that kind of training.
I
And
would
so,
love to segue on
knock it
that.
down.
So Jim, who is with Out Demolition and Construction, has been in this profession for 25 years. We are in multiple buildings throughout the state. We are the first entity that's ever approached him for this kind of opportunity. So I'm meeting with his team tomorrow to market it, because they are extremely excited, and they are also going to be here that day as observers, just to see how that works. So we are delighted to be able to host that.
Let the TV stations know, that'll be great.
So we're working on a press release right now.
Yeah.
Press releases, they don't like to know until
Too far in
So-
advance.
because then they'll just forget. But and then
Go
I'd really
Facebook
like to-
post on one of the H0lly pages and I'll share it.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
And put it in the
So
schools.
I have two more comments. One, if you follow the Village of H0lly Fire Department Facebook, unfortunately we had to take it down today due to some
It was
issues that
hacked.
we're handling
some way.
internally. So please look for a new and improved site coming up in the very near future. Finally, I'm just so excited to announce that last month at council, we received through the fire department $35,000 donation. And with that $35,000 donation, We have just recently purchased power load cots for the ambulance, which will take, we roll the cot up to the back of the ambulance doors. It'll lift up to a 700-pound individual into the ambulance without the firefighters or EMTs or medics doing anything other than pushing the button. It reduces back injuries by 99%. Huge thank you to that anonymous donor, but more importantly, thank you to council for allowing us to spend that money on it.
Good.
Thank you for letting me speak.
Yep, thanks. Carol?
No, thank you.
Now we'll move to Ms. Wallace.
I just have a couple things. I was just wondering what's going on with the Cloud Cannabis, Timber Cannabis merger and that building and the fence itself and all that.
Yeah, it's a great question. So I've been working, and Alex, I think, has been just starting the process. But they are using the exact same site plan that was approved by this board, or this council, or commission, and moving forward. They haven't submitted for building permits yet, but I would assume less than 90 days that process will begin.
So that because they're using the same site plan, they don't need to come back before us.
That's correct, we're not making any changes.
Okay.
And that, as you all know, that site plan is valid for up to a year, and they can request an extension either through this commission or this board, or they can submit some documents for review, which ultimately extends their application. Which is the case for Marathon. Marathon has submitted some documents for review for the redevelopment at the corner of Grange Hall and Saginaw. So we should see some progress on that. I am anticipating end of June, July, when they actually start seeing some shovels in the ground. But I have been in contact with them most recently within the last week in their architects. They actually switched architects. They were working with a Loom architect, and since has hired their own architect that they feel is doing a more professional job.
And thank you for your work on the annual report. That's all. Thank you.
I do have one more comment.
Sure, go ahead.
Just because I think you would all be entertained. Andy's Place submitted a demolition permit on Monday and it was approved. Their building permit has not been approved just yet. We've got a couple more submittal documents, but I know there's been some discussion out there about funding and getting them going. I can tell you, I have been part of that process with Nick through multiple different platforms, and every single one of them that they submitted was denied. And I feel terrible that I have to announce that, but I know it's been a long, drawn-out battle, but when you're doing these grants and requesting these fundings, there's nothing quick or easy about it. So I thank you for everybody's patience in the community. I know it's definitely an eyesore, and we all want to go back and pay visits to Andy and her fabulous crew, but progress is starting. So
Is it just being demoed or is it being rebuilt?
So it is being rebuilt. However, the demo permit states there is some sections of brick at the very top that need to come down and be re-put back up.
Okay.
Just because of the integrity from the heat. They feel more confident with removing those bricks and then reinstalling them. They've already been in front of the HGC and have received approval for that demolition and rebuilding. In essence, they're basically going to keep the outside shell, build a new building on the inside, attach the exterior walls to that new building, which will give it the building integrity.
So no need to come back here then, just the
Nope.
historic.
And they're not changing the site plan, it's just building. The only thing they are, which I'm still waiting on.
Well, they got more property, so obviously
not
their
yet.
site plan is gonna change.
Not yet. And the only thing they achieved the property for was for a handicap ramp,
Okay.
which does not require planning commission approval for that. That
Okay.
is a federal standard, which is required by federal law for any assembly that is to have
Right.
ADA access to that. If they are doing a remodel or repair over 50%. So they are exempt from having to come back for this board for just the ADA ramp. And they are working through that process now, so.
Good,
I'm sorry to interrupt.
that's okay.
I thought it was important.
Yes,
Not honest.
Mr. Koskela.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Only one I would say is, if you guys have, we all live here, so obviously we're probably not looking at Airbnb, But if you go look on Airbnb, there's lots of people up there that probably haven't been before the committee. And my concern is eventually what's going to end up happening is, you know, you're vacationing and you expect it to be all new. Well, like a hotel, our homes and everything, 100-year-old homes, is not out of the ordinary. My concern is someone's going to have a fire, you know, overload a circuit, whatever's going to happen, and they're not going to have the smoke detectors, whatever, and we're going to have someone hurt. So I'm not sure what to do for that, but take a look.
It's pretty amazing. I did exactly that, and I think there was like 20 or 30 homes in the village.
Quite a few.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just saw somebody post the other day on Facebook asking about somebody that could help them turn their garage into an apartment.
Yes, I saw that.
I got a little confused with some of what you just said, Jim. If it's an Airbnb that comes before us, we are approving their electrical.
They should have had inspections. Our fire chief should have gone and made sure they have everything in order. And if they're not doing that, you're having these vacationers come in, and who knows what they're.
And you're saying they're not being done? In some
Oh,
cases?
I mean, I'm not going to say for sure, but I'd have to assume that since they haven't been before us.
Well, I did see one recently that I talked to you about, but I don't think it was in the
We're
village.
unable to locate it. Yes,
Yeah.
Mr. DeSessa did approach me with, see, the problem is with these Airbnbs, as far as a code enforcement, which PD now handles, is that you do not get the address until you book. So until you give them some money, you're not gonna know the exact location. Now, you may be able to get a glimpse of maybe a front facade, maybe, but it's very, very difficult as code enforcement to determine the exact location or the exact property that these, you know, H0lly, they say could be H0lly, but H0lly goes all the way almost to Dixie Highway.
Now,
Right.
if there is a desire for enforcement actions from staff, I have to imagine we could just say, put it on a credit card 6 months out, they'll give you the address and then cancel.
And so that PD is in charge of all that kind of corporate code enforcement. Unfortunately, or fortunately for me, I don't have to do that anymore. I do have a fire marshal who will be coming in front of council for my first appointment. He's the acting fire marshal now. He's been with me for about 4 years. He's already taken over rentals and business inspections and short-term rental inspections. So he's staying very busy with that. I know he was just at Mr. Orkowski's the other day.
Anything else?
No, sir.
I don't have anything.
Mr. DeSessa?
Thanks again to you two fellows for your nice work with the CIP plan. I appreciate it, and moving that forward. Thank you to Jim for your research that you made earlier, sir, and pointed out on the one agenda item we had tonight. I thought that was important moving forward, that that's something that we're aware of and complying with if we can. So, and then just other than that, a quick question for you, Jeremy, if you could give us an update, if you know, on the H0lly Hotel. I mean, what's going on with all that court dispute, if you know. I mean, I don't know.
So I don't. I can tell you that they reached out to me requesting some documents. I was unable to provide those documents due to them not following the process of a FOIA request. I instructed the individuals on how that process works, but I have not seen that FOIA request come across my desk yet. I know it's in court. I don't know where it's at in court. I honestly haven't been following it. But I know my family is missing it just as much as everybody else. So we'd like to see some resolution sooner than later.
I think some of the latest information is saying court date in August.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, are you done?
That's fine.
I always follow the real estate listings, and this one caught my attention. The village of H0lly is excited for this land, multiple uses. This property is over 27 picturesque acres with lakes, zoned residential, multifamily, commercial. The village of H0lly is excited and happy to do a PUD here. Serviced by community sewer. Work with the developer to do multifamily, single-family condos, restaurants, commercial, strip mall. All of them are available. Located at
3501.
Hawaiian Gardens.
It's the only 27-acre parcel that we have in the village.
Hawaiian Gardens, yep,
Yep.
$1.1 million. It's 27 acres. My questions are, how did it get to be a PUD?
It hasn't yet.
Well,
It
what it
came
says in the
before us,
listing?
didn't we vote on that?
Oh, it has the opportunity to become a planned unit development. They have to come in front of this board for that approval. It's not been approved.
It
Is it like the
says
master
the
plan?
Village of Holly is excited and happy to
And
do
what
a
is that
PUD
site
here.
you're looking at?
This is real estate listing.
So, right, I mean, you can look at Google and a
Those
lot
things
of,
could be, anyone can put up anything on there, I mean,
Yes.
that's,
Okay, well then,
Willing to do
I
but,
can
is
tell you,
basically
no, it
the
says happy to do.
happy to
Willing and
do.
happy to do.
Okay,
Okay,
so,
so my question is,
means-
has that already been done, or
No.
does that come before us?
because I thought we did something. What did we
so I
do
can
in
tell you
here?
in the last 2 months, I fielded at least 10 calls on that property for a redevelopment for a PUD. It's been just conversation. I
Okay,
can tell you a new broker has taken over the land,
right.
and they are listing it. Other than that, we have nothing that we can hang our hat on that shows that we have documents submitted that are ready to come in front of this board.
I'm just wondering, if Richard, if you're thinking, was this something we looked at in the master plan last time?
It could have been.
It was, and I think in the master plan, we,
It's still zone residential.
okay, but I thought we zoned it PUD in that master plan.
so that would be potential, that would be, we may have put that in the future land use map.
Okay.
Okay,
If they come before you and rezone it for a PUD, go through a PUD process.
okay,
Essentially, a PUD process is an open contract. You could say, hey, we want to put these many homes in, but the setbacks, size setbacks are going to work for us. We want to do some open space or whatever may be for the community, either, adjust the setbacks, or we're going to increase the height of the building, or we're going to, it's kind of just a more flexible way of approaching a potential investment community. And that is something for you guys to look at whenever it comes before you, if it ever does. And, it's something that's a little bit different dimensionally than you would have if you were straight up buildings.
Because right now it's zoned R1B.
And it's R1D.
Yeah.
You've got to come for rezoning, they've got to come before you for the site plan review. Just to show that they can have utility hookups, and there's,
But you get the way that this is worded, it sounds like,
sounds awesome, I should buy it.
boom, you're ready to go. That's what I'm like, what the hell? Yeah.
There's a lot of investors that say, wow, this is great, we're gonna come. But, and that may be why I'm receiving so many calls, right? Because that is out there.
Well, heck yeah, 27 acres, but then, can I just ask this question? I know there's 2 lakes on it, so 27 acres isn't buildable, right?
We're gonna dream. You've got to follow the zoning, that is a hypothetical rabbit hole that I'm not going down.
Okay. All right.
I mean, they're there, and you gotta work around it, and,
The last individual wanted to use the lakes as part of, build around the lakes and have that be the centerpiece. He had a restaurant there that has a little peninsula, and on the end of the peninsula, they had a giant gazebo they want to do live entertainment on. So, I mean, these conceptual plans that they come and meet with me about in administration look great and beautiful, but it's pretty, so.
Well, they used to have, I don't get into the weeds, but they used to have a clubhouse out there. That
Usually a nine-hole illuminated golf course,
Yeah.
is what I
Yeah.
heard.
And
Well, and of course, my mind went to, how would you, how does the Village of Holly get somebody to come in there and say this would be a great Del Webb or some kind of a senior place to build? To me, that makes total sense, but where does that happen?
So it's really the realtors, right? We're not in the business of marketing property. That's not what administration does. What administration does is when somebody comes and asks.
But what about economic development? Wouldn't that fit in?
That would be DDA, does economic development in their DDA.
Only in the DDA district, so the village doesn't do any economic development outside the
I
DDA?
can't speak for the entire village. I can tell you that I've never been part of that process, but,
Well, that explains a lot.
And if you look, yeah, if you look, we only have about
if,
5.
if it was property that the village owned, they approach that differently. But if it's privately owned property,
No, I'm talking about economic development. I understand the difference between
Yeah.
privately and
right,
the village, thank you.
okay.
I have nothing.
Thank you. I really have nothing either. Last public comment. Oh, I thought Josh was going to get up and say something.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Motion?
Closed.